The city of Cocoa Beach is dealing with its canals turning red. Officials
And that a discovery of bones found at Lake Mead are in fact partial human remains, according to the Clark County coroner.
We found that it had more than 400 footprints preserved on it. We immediately knew that this was a pretty big deal.
Facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
He works at Rutland Water Nature Reserve on finding the fossilized remains of a 10-meter-long sea creature that lived.
Because of low water levels, ruins of the 19th century town of Mormon Island are once again visible.
Covered in sludge and mud for years, the canals of our world are full of mysterious artifacts, from spine-chilling remnants of a forgotten era and awe-inspiring legacies to the ancient pathways revealing ominous prophecies. Human remains are the last thing someone would expect to find on their day of fishing. While visiting a nearby river, a man made an eerie discovery that absolutely shocked him: a mysterious jawbone.
I just came across a human jawbone.
According to that guy, there were a lot of burial sites along the river that might have made this bone appear out of the river. Right after the spooky discovery, the man called the police to hand over the bone for further investigation.
Sure, go ahead.
I didn't want to look, I just immediately got it and came back and called you guys. Is that a...
Human ashes. This group of divers found something very unusual during their snorkeling trip in a river. They came across a box in the river. To find out what's inside, they pulled the box out of the river.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie.
The box had a heavy bag inside filled with sand, but after inspecting it a little, they discovered the bag was not filled with sand, but it was full of ashes.
I think that's a person, dude. I'm shaking it now. Here, I'm gonna put him back upside down.
What was even creepier was that those ashes turned out to be the remains of a human that might have been packed and dumped centuries ago. Just after a little analysis, that bag full of powdered remains was placed back to where it came from. Booted skeleton. During the excavation work for London's new super sewer, authorities drained the River Thames, and while cleaning the riverbed, archaeologists had to be called as they found a human skeleton on the bank of the river.
Because it is a man, it's a skeleton lying there.
After running the analysis, the archaeologists found out that the skeleton belonged to a human from the medieval ages. The skeleton had its boots on and was lying in a very unusual position.
The way he's lying is very unusual, and then you have to kind of get up close and personal with him.
Preservers were blown away by the discovery, as it provided great insights into London life 500 years ago.
Got the flaps that have been flattened down on the top, so where they would have fallen over the knee.
Experts couldn't find out the reason for the demise, but some claimed he might have ended up on the river while trying to earn a living. Ancient casket. While renovating their house, a family in San Francisco got the shock of their life when they found an ancient casket from the backyard. The casket was made of metal with 2 glass windows in the lid, and the body of a 2-year-old girl was found perfectly preserved.
Authorities have now been able to identify the little girl who was found in a sealed coffin.
The story instantly went viral all over the world. Experts dated the body of the little girl back to 1876.
Including the date of her death, a date we now know, October 13, 1876.
Turns out, the house was built in an old cemetery.
Began in the 1870s. Location, San Francisco's Oddfellows Cemetery.
It was right there.
After running a DNA analysis, they found her ancestry and even the cause of her end, which was marasmus, a term used for severe undernourishment.
Research found that Edith died of marasmus, severe undernourishment.
The little girl was later buried in a different spot. Human leg bone. What if your scuba diving experience turned into an absolute horror? A few years back, a man was scuba diving when he found the creepiest thing underwater while scuba diving. While exploring the underwater life, this diver found a decomposed bone. Upon closer examination, he found that the bone was of a human leg. He took it out of the water and quickly called the police and handed it over.
While scuba diving, I'm not 100% sure it's a human bone, but like I was telling the other officer, there was a...
Whom the bone belonged to and how it ended up in the water is still a mystery. Creepy open grave. Imagine going on an exploration trip to discover something new and finding something that would become a living nightmare. Posted a few years back, this clip shows a spine-chilling discovery made by a man who went out after a hurricane. An open grave that could give anyone the creeps. The entire place around the open grave was destroyed. The remains from the grave were just lying on the ground. Many other graves might have been turned up by the disaster, but this guy was fully exposed. According to the man recording the clip, the graves were later sealed. Voodoo dolls. Finding a doll in a canal is pretty standard, but finding a weird doll head in a dried up canal is super creepy. Something similar to this happened when the Hertford Union Canal was drained for the first time in 20 years. During the cleaning, one of the workers was seriously disturbed. A vandalized doll head with weird marks and nails screwed in her ears. The doll was considered to be used roughly. It looked like someone was practicing voodoo on the doll. This wasn't the only doll found in the canal. Another one with clumps of hair missing was also found. No one knows how they ended up in the canal, but this was one mysterious discovery. Creepy surprise. While on a normal lakeside outing, a group of friends noticed some strange white container floating in the water and decided to pull it to the shore. Once on land, they found that the box was sealed with silver duct tape. One of the guys opened the container and was shocked to find its contents.
Oh no!
At first, they thought it was a baby inside the box, but after a few seconds, they realized it was a doll. It looked like someone deliberately locked the doll inside. Maybe it was involved in some ritual, or someone just wanted to give strangers a scare, but it truly was creepy. Mermaid Skeleton. We've all heard about mermaids and believe them to be some mythical creatures, but this person, while having a good time in the water, found something that absolutely blew everyone away.
Ma, you see this?
No.
Lying in the shallow waters was a creepy skeleton that was hiding beneath the plants. The tiny skeleton was similar to a human with a fishtail, giving it a resemblance to a mermaid. But how did it appear in this place, and for how long it was lying there is still unknown.
What the hell is that?
What is happening? You guys see this?
Lake Mead.
Discovery of bones found at Lake Mead are in fact partial human remains, according to the Clark County.
As the water level receded to its lowest at Lake Mead during the 2022 drought, things that were submerged for decades came to light. People discovered a lot of trash and boats. A W2 landing craft was also made visible by the receding waters. Many of the region's secrets are being revealed as discoveries proceed. A body was found in a barrel stuck in the mud.
It is partial human remains at this point, but we don't have confirmation of exactly what it is.
That is believed to be from the late 1970s or early 1980s. Until now, a total of 3 sets of human remains have been discovered from the lake. Aside from the discoveries, the rate at which water levels are falling is very alarming. Giant footprint. In Nigeria, when a tourist was exploring a village, he came across something very unusual. Imprinted on the stone was a giant left footprint, something never seen before.
We found it here. So we found the left foot right here in Nigeria, and the right foot is in Kenya.
Measuring to be about 24 inches, the footprint was perfectly engraved on a stone. The imprints were so deep that one could drink water accumulated in them. Here they also compared the size of a human foot.
You see? Now this is the foot of...
The residents believe the footprint was of a giant prehistoric human.
This was the footprint of a giant during ancient period.
The question is as to why this giant footprint was found in Nigeria and who made this deep imprint. These are the questions researchers are still trying to figure out. Giant skull. Bigfoot are mythical creatures that have never been seen, but some people do believe in their existence and claim they are a link between apes and humans. While exploring the Canadian woods, a man found something that absolutely shocked him.
So I reestablished satellite connection.
Oh. Hey, hold on a second.
He discovered a skull buried in the mud on a trail.
Yeah, what's up?
I found a skull. I think you guys are gonna want to come film this.
Initially, he thought it was a bear skull, but after a close inspection, he found it's not a bear skull. After keeping this discovery secret for several weeks, he has posted pictures of that unknown skull on social media and is awaiting a review from primatologists. Bison Skull. Imagine going to a river for a dip and finding some monstrous creature remains. That's exactly what happened when this man from South Dakota went for a swim in the river and came across a giant monster bison skull.
Like a big one, but sometimes they're hard. It's big. Holy.
Wanting to record the moment he dived again and came up on the water's surface. Yet this time, he was holding a huge skull with gigantic horns.
Yes, it is. Holy.
Had turned black with time. The near-complete skull might suggest that it hasn't been tumbled over much by the river, and now was given a chance to peek into the ancient time. Fossil footprint. A group of archaeologists was working on a site near Tanzania when they stumbled upon the most incredible discovery of their lives that shocked the whole world.
When we found this site and found that it had more than 400 footprints preserved on it,
They discovered one of the largest fossil footprint sites on the African continent. The site features more than 400 perfectly preserved footprints, dating back to about 6,000 to 19000 years. Experts said that the footprints were made by about 17 individuals, of which 14 were adult females, 2 were adult males, and one of them was an adolescent.
of them were made by 17 individuals, 14 adult females, 2 adult males, and maybe 1 adolescent.
According to them, these millennia-old footprints will be helpful to look deeply into human history. Spooky well. While exploring an abandoned well on his relative's property, a man sent down a submarine into a deep water hole.
With the deep tracker, we're gonna turn the lights on.
And freaked out at his own discovery. A plastic bag came out with the submarine, and upon opening it up, he found bones inside.
It looks like legs.
At first, he thought that they were human remains and wanted to call the cops, but when he carefully examined the bones, he found a jawbone with sharp teeth that appeared to be from a canine.
Really sharp teeth, a jawbone. Wow, guys.
So, after dropping the idea of calling the cops, the young adventurer placed back the remnants from where they came from. China's Stone Bridge. With the start of the dry season a little earlier than usual, the water level of Poyang Lake in China receded.
Historically, the water was supposed to recede in the middle of September, but this year, it dried up in the middle of July.
Thereby revealing a forgotten ancient stone bridge, which was entirely made of stone bars supported by wooden pillars. Known as Qianyan, this bridge was built between 1368 to 1644. And was considered to be the longest stone bridge spanning a lake in China. In 2016, the local authorities allocated special funds for the bridge's restoration. The bridge has now become famous as an important historical and cultural artifact. Blood Red Nile River. This video of the River Nile had been circulating on the internet and astounded people all over the world. Here is the unusual view of the River Nile, where the blue water had turned a striking red shade. Many people speculated that it was a bad omen, while others were left overwhelmed by the clip. However, according to scientists, the red hue in the River Nile was caused by the excessive growth of the red algae. The abundance of red algae in water bodies gave a certain red color. But it still seems weird for the entire river to turn red. What do you think about it? Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is quite a famous tourist spot in America that has been flowing for about 12,000 years. No one thought it was humanly possible to stop the falls. But in 1969, something unexpected happened when the government decided to repair the corrosion at the falls. Under the dried-up Niagara Falls, something shocking was found. The riverbed was packed with millions of coins that were thought to be tossed while making a wish in ancient times. Upon further exploration, the workers also stumbled upon skeletal remains of humans that might have fallen over and were never found. Gold in Euphrates River. The Euphrates River is of great importance due to its religious history, and its drying up is considered a prophecy of an apocalypse.
Are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
The decreasing water level in the Euphrates River is revealing many hidden realities. Other than ancient walls and cities, large deposits of gold were also found near the river. What's surprising was that the gold was scattered like stones. That was easily collected by the miners. According to experts, due to the misuse of river water by farmers, the Euphrates has now become significantly smaller, but it seems that there is a large gold source around the location. Dolphins Escape. What are these people doing? Is it some sort of a ritual? A big group of 28 people was seen in a river in Florida, making a chain while holding hands. If I had been there, I definitely would have stopped them. Maybe they had a weird agenda of summoning a river demon, but luckily this was not the case. These marine biologists had good intentions. A baby dolphin had ended up in the creek and couldn't go back to the open water.
From a creek in Clearwater, Florida, out into the open waters this week.
These kind-hearted people decided to help it find its way back home. The human chain led the way for the poor dolphin to get back to the Gulf of Mexico, where it could easily find its way to the open sea. Bikes multitude. This strange sight is from North Holland, which is one of the world's most bicycle-friendly cities. In fact, a place where there are more cycles than humans. Unfortunately, most of those bicycles end up getting wet. Each year, hundreds and thousands of bicycles are retrieved from the Amsterdam Canal during the cleaning operation. Nobody knows how these vehicles found their fate inside the dark depths, but they are assumed to be dumped after being stolen and are brought back to the surface. Although it's strange, bike fishing has become one of Amsterdam's unique tourist attractions. River search. While on a cleaning project of a local lake in Missouri, these scuba divers found something that baffled everyone.
Out of mind and just a environmental cleanup.
These professionals were on a routine dive when they discovered a car from the depths of the river. They were astounded to find human remains in the car.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Call the cops, call the cops, call the cops!
Upon investigation, they found that the remains belonged to a man who disappeared earlier that year, and his family had been searching for him. This diving team then took it upon themselves and helped many other families find their cars and loved ones from within the rivers. Ancient Canoe. Finding pieces of history is very rare and is considered an ace, but finding a historical remnant of one's own culture is quite an achievement. This happened earlier this year when a couple of young swimmers discovered a rare Native American artifact, an ancient canoe from Lake Waccamaw.
Got it. Hands up. Keep it.
This discovery was a symbol of about 1,000 years of Native American culture in North Carolina.
Symbol of nearly 1,000 years of Native American culture in southeastern North Carolina.
After making the discovery, a team was called to pull the canoe out of the water that was about 28 feet long. The researchers hope that this discovery will be key to uncovering the local tribe's history. Ancient underground city. This man from Turkey made the biggest discovery of his life in 1963 when he knocked down the wall of his basement and unveiled a 2,000-year-old abandoned underground Turkish city. Known as Derinkuyu, this city once housed 20,000 people.
It's said that this underground city could take up to 20,000 people inside.
18 levels of tunnels containing dwellings, dry food storage, cattle stables, schools, wineries, and even a chapel were found 280 feet underneath the ground.
There's a church here. There are crosses here. Also, this space is designed as a cross form.
This largest excavated underground city in the world is believed to connect to more than 200 smaller separate underground cities.
It's said that there are 150 or 200 underground cities,
which were discovered in recent decades. Euphrates Oil Well. Arab countries are famous for their abundant amounts of oil fields. Something similar was found in Syria. Near the Iraq border, along the Euphrates River, a long stream of pitch-black liquid oozing out of the ground was found in the field of Deir al-Zor. Initially, people were baffled to see the mysterious black river, but this liquid later turned out to be black gold. And now authorities are planning to refine this brackish, sticky water to be used in vehicles and produce electricity to stabilize the country's economy. Dollar bill. While magnet fishing, this man found something really weird, thinking to get his hands on something expensive. What he pulled out was an ordinary plastic bottle that later turned out to be the mother of all surprises.
I'm gonna breathe.
Inside the bottle was a dollar bill and some lottery tickets. But why would someone throw their lottery tickets along with $1?
There's $1. It's some lottery tickets.
Maybe someone who lost hope after losing a chance to win a prize, or someone who simply gave up. Nothing is still clear about this dollar bill mystery. Viking sword. This 8-year-old girl became popular overnight when she made a huge discovery.
So I picked it up and it looked like a sword. Daddy, I found a sword!
Saga Vanacek was buoying on a summer day in the lake in Sweden when she came across something that was first thought to be a stick, but when she pulled it out of the lake, it was a huge sword.
Men det gjorde jag inte. Då tog jag upp det och sa till pappa, jag hittade ett svärd.
This ancient artifact was believed to be a 1,500-year Viking sword.
She got goosebumps and she was like, that sword is 1,000 years old at least.
That was later handed over to a local museum for preservation and public display. Mormon Island. The drought indiscriminately affects every water reservoir, but the consequences of it are different everywhere. The 2015 drought affected Folsom Lake and its level receded so much
Folsom Lake, it's absolutely gorgeous. Everything is so low right now
that an entire 19th century island, also known as Mormon Island, was exposed to the light of day after 15 years.
Low water levels, ruins of the 19th century town of Mormon Island are once again visible.
The town inhabited an abundance of Mormon refugees, hence got the name. Scattered all over the riverbed were pieces of pottery and artifacts that once belonged to the town.
Pieces of pottery and other artifacts that belong to the 2,500 people.
The now doomed land shows snippets of the town's past. Bottled message. Getting a handwritten letter is always nice, but finding a letter from a stranger written over a century ago is nothing short of creepy. A man from Tofino, BC, found a message in a bottle from 1906 that might just be the oldest one ever.
A BC man is trying to keep another memory alive tonight.
He was taking a routine stroll along the shore when he came across a bottle lying on the sand with a message inside. He took it with him out of curiosity, but never opened it, as he wanted to preserve what's managed to stay intact for so long.
A message written nearly 107 years ago, complete with a name and address.
This bottle was even included in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the oldest in the world at that time. 16th century church. As the heat wave hit Mexico this year, it caused the water level of the Malpaso Dam to fall, and it revealed an unbelievable scene. A 16th century temple of Quichula was unveiled by the drought.
A church in Mexico, submerged for about 60 years, has reappeared.
This revelation of an incredible landmark attracted a large number of people who wanted to see the historic temple. Some even came to pray. This heat wave not only showed the temple, but also caused the loss of a lot of fish and other water life. These drastic falls in water bodies all over the world are very alarming and a sign for us to control climate change. Ghost town of Bluffton. Submerged beneath the surface of a Texas lake are the remains of Bluffton, a town that was once lively but later doomed to spend eternity in the dark depths of the water levels of the lake rose, sinking the entire town.
Sinking into the deep, the town would reemerge 7 times due to extreme drought.
But during the severe 2009 drought, as the water level receded, it revealed the remnants of Bluffton town.
Very first home in Bluffton, established by Alfred's great-great-great-grandfather.
Among them were the remains of a graveyard, tombstones, hotels, and a cotton gin. The ghost town, which was hidden beneath the calm waves for nearly a century now, offers a unique glimpse into the past. Ichthyosaur. A few years ago, a Rutland Water Nature Park employee in the UK made an extraordinary discovery.
I think I found a dinosaur. Those were the words of Joe Davis, who works at Rutland Water Nature Reserve.
He saw a series of ridges in the mud and thought it was something big. Upon calling the dinosaur team, they were told that it was not a dinosaur, but fossilized remains of an ichthyosaur, an air-breathing sea reptile also known as sea dragon. That swam about 250 million years ago. What made the discovery so special was the sheer size of the animal. It was 10 meters long and was the biggest and most complete prehistoric reptile skeleton ever found in Britain.
ever found, the biggest one ever found here in the UK. Incredible, at 10 meters long.
Soviet fighter plane. Due to the 2015 drought, the water level of the Bzura River in Poland fell to a record low and revealed something that no one was prepared for. A complete wreck of a World War II fighter plane was found. Along them were the remains of 2 crew members. Who were believed to have been exterminated by German forces in 1945. After the careful evacuation of the plane from the mud, it was then sent to a local museum for examination. Car remains. When rivers or lakes dry up or their levels recede, their hidden treasures are unveiled, making them a major attraction for people who want to get first-hand experience.
It's becoming a major attraction, drawing people to see firsthand what's considered an historic.
The same thing occurred when the Mississippi River levels dropped to a record low and a bunch of stuff was unearthed, including old car bumpers, tires, baby strollers, and even car remains.
The remains of a submerged vehicle that's been there for no telling how long.
But how these things got into the river and how long they've been there are the real mysteries. Weapons in river. While exploring a dried-up river, a young explorer found something that he wasn't supposed to see. Lying near the river edge was a strange duffel bag which initially looked like an ordinary one.
It's got a snake! So we just found this duffel bag full of what I think is car...
But when the bag was opened, he was shocked to see its contents, as it contained 5 car radios and weapons that had been dumped after being stolen.
Oh my god! It's gone! It's gone! Let's go, baby!
As he couldn't keep the stolen things, so he called the police that confiscated the weapons.
Found a duffel bag full of car radios and a couple guns inside, and I didn't know if you guys would be...
Ancient safe. Drying up lakes brings a lot of people looking to make new discoveries, and this man came to Lake Elsinore for the very same reason.
Usually this is covered in water. I mean, you can see on the ground like the water is definitely retracted, probably because we're in a huge drought. So.
While looking to find something, he discovered an old safe and was successful in opening it.
Oh, no way! Dude!
And was shocked to see the contents.
No way! Oh my god. Dude.
As there were stacks of money in the safe, along with a letter. Opening and reading the letter, he found out that the safe was buried in 1895 by a man named David Joyce.
My name is David Joyce. Oh, in 1895, I moved from El Paso.
Who had left the money in the safe so that someone in need could find it. Was it just random kindness or a creepy act? Secret passageway. Living in a 500-year-old house was already spooky enough, but finding some hidden door that leads to a whole new unseen part of the house can give anyone the chills. A man living in an ancient house noticed a doorway in the library.
I noticed that the wall behind was actually hollow. This is a photo of this room taken in 1870.
And found an old passageway that had been there since the 70s. The passageway didn't only lead to the underground room, but he also found several other passageways, which he believed were used by servants. He also came across books from when the house had been an educational institute, and a safe that he broke down to find a letter that was written back in 1837. Bioweapons. This once flowing lake has now turned into a desert. The Aral Sea Lake, located between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, started to dry up in the 1960s, when the Soviet Union diverted the river feeding the lake into a residential town. It also caused the unearthing of a peninsula that was used as a testing site for bioweapons by the USSR. Pathogens like anthrax and smallpox were released. A huge number of people lost their lives due to diseases. Many animals and sea life were wiped out. In 2002, 100 to 200 tons of anthrax spores were neutralized in 3 months. Today, only slivers remain of what was once the world's 4th largest lake. Castro Candás. Last year, people were left shocked when a ghost from the distant past emerged in Spain. Due to severe drought, the Belisar water reservoir in the Galicia region faced receded water levels. This unveiled an ancient Roman fort called Castro Candás. The water receded so low that the fort's streets and structures were out in the open. This discovery attracted many people who were able to visit on foot and see the relic. Many other Roman artifacts can be found nearby. and scientists fear that human-caused climate change can run Spain out of water. Mammoth Skeleton. Finding a nearly complete mammoth skeleton on a farm? Sounds unusual, but not impossible.
What we found here is a partial skeleton of a woolly mammoth.
A soybean farmer in Michigan was digging in his field when he thought he discovered a buried fence post, but it turned out to be one of the mammoth's ribs.
Many of the vertebrae, not all of them.
The University of Michigan excavated the entire skeleton within a day.
It was an adult male, probably in its 40s at the time of its death.
Experts believe that the mammoth was a male that was between 11,000 to 15,000 years old.
Probably lived between 10,000 and 15,000 years ago.
That was butchered by early humans and left in a pond to preserve its meat.
I would say 3 types of evidence for human activity.
It is time for today's open discussion. This picture is a glimpse of hell on Earth. In 2015, archaeologists were brought in to examine a field to build a housing development in Belgium and discovered something absolutely dreadful. Some 125 First World War soldiers were found entombed in a perfectly preserved German trench system. They were uncovered about 101 years after they passed away. The trenches were closed by people after the war, but they were discovered again. A complete skeleton of an unidentified soldier was also found. The uniform and equipment buried alone showed he was a German soldier. Experts believe that almost 100 of the discovered remains were of German soldiers. Others might be British, French, and South Africans who were either shot or shelled. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again,